I do what I do.
As an obscure footnote in Native American history, but this was a central chapter in the first fight for Black freedom. It's the story of how formerly enslaved Africans, displaced Native people stood together, bled together, and resisted together. And it is a reminder that even when outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded, freedom is going to fight back. Now, here's the thing. What's the legacy behind this? Huh? What's the legacy behind that? So I need you to understand something. They had been fighting these people in Florida for 40 years, and they didn't win. And now we are on the cusp of the Civil War. They said, leave that alone. We got other fish to fry. So now the Civil War has happened. It's 1861. You still got these Black folk and these Seminoles held out in the Everglades, never been defeated, never fully removed. You can't beat them. Abraham Lincoln himself, he referred to this long-running battle as the Florida problem. It's an embarrassment. It costs a lot. You're supposed to be one of the greatest nations in America, and you can't beat a bunch of ragtag Negroes and Indians. And now you want to fight the South and take their slaves away? Huh? Imagine being Abraham Lincoln. And it's the early 1860s. You probably have little belief in your military, right? Imagine that. Keep in mind, they didn't have any Black folks fighting in their military at that time. And in fact, when you look at the history of the Civil War, it wasn't until they start letting Black men into the military that they actually start winning. They should already have known they couldn't beat us. That's why they couldn't do much with those Black Seminoles down in Florida. But imagine being president. It's 1860. You standing at the helm of a fractured nation. You staring down the barrel of civil war amid rising tensions over slavery, and the memory of Florida is in your mind like, can my military even do this? It's not as a geographical concern, but as a symbolic one. The Seminole Wars, 40 years, a long conflict that saw the United States government throw away thousands of troops, because along with the millions of dollars fighting what seemingly is an invisible enemy, there's no victory. All you got was humiliation. And these weren't even formal armies, and you're about to fight the American South. If you look at all of the military schools, most of them in the South, you couldn't beat. These weren't trained soldiers from foreign nations. They were Native Americans and formerly enslaved Black people and couldn't even read. Lightly armed, scattered throughout the swamps, no backwoods, no nothing, no training, and they remained undefeated against your well-trained army. This, you understand, is what makes Florida so terrifying. These were people who had every reason to give up, to surrender, to run, yet they didn't. And the Black Seminoles, born of bondage and driven by a singular fire of freedom, fought back. They built lives in the shadows of the Everglades. They carved communities out of wilderness, and they refused to bend to the might of the United States Army. Not once, not twice, but across 3 wars over 40 years. Shout out to Adam Devine. And as Lincoln, you recognize the larger lesson. Slavery is not sustainable, not simply because it's morally wrong, but because the enslaved will not stay enslaved. The Florida problem isn't just a military failure, it's a warning. You see, plainly, and it's clear, if Black people in one state could resist for 40 years and the United States military never make any headway, and we talk about a couple thousand, then what does that mean if you got black people across the country, and in 1860 it was about 40 million of us, black people across the country, they could bring this entire system crashing down. You see? And here we thought we had broken these people with all of our tactics. So put yourself in Lincoln's position. Emancipation becomes not just a political tool or a moral imperative, it becomes a strategic necessity to maintain the Union, to avoid economic collapse, to prevent insurrection from spreading like wildfire. The country must eventually free these black people, okay? Because the cost of keeping them in chains financially, militarily, morally is too great. You can't imprison people who've proven they're willing to die rather than return to bondage. And so the legacy of the Florida problem then is more than regional, it's revolutionary. It laid bare the limits of American power when confronted with the unstoppable force of human dignity. The Black Seminoles, descendants of Africans who rejected both the lash and the auction block, stood as a living prophecy of what was to come. And our defiance foretold the coming storm, the Civil War itself, a war not only about preserving the Union, but about reckoning with a centuries-old lie that slavery could ever truly be enforced. See, in their mud-soaked forts and camouflage trails, black folk and the Indians fought not only for themselves, but for every enslaved person in America. And when black Americans today say they fought for freedom, they meant it. We mean it. And we mean it literally. The story of Florida is the story of resistance. The resistance and resistance, Lincoln comes to understand, is the seed of liberty. And so these wars are rarely taught. Nobody's taught. This is probably the first time many of you all had somebody go this deep into this. Nobody teaches, but it remains one of the most striking examples of successful black resistance in North American history. The Black Seminoles, many of whom would later be relocated to what's called Indian Territory and even Mexico, they left behind a legacy of defiance, military skill, and unbreakable solidarity that reshaped the American South and delayed U.S. expansion for decades. We messed up the money. Okay? So what I need you all to understand is this. I just talked about America, okay? And of course, when people speak about slavery, when we talk about America, especially in America, we frame it as though it was some sort of passive condition and black folks suffering silently under white domination. Oh, boss master. That was all just the game. It was a very different story. You see? Because see, slave rebellions erupted in all across America, but you also had stuff going on across the Caribbean and Central America and South America and Brazil, in the jungles of Jamaica. It wasn't just in the sugar cane fields of the Carolinas and Louisiana. The first Maroon War in 1728 and 17 through 1739, 11 years. In Jamaica, you had all this dense mountain. I know y'all don't really go to the dense mountains of Jamaica. Y'all hang out on the beach in Montego Bay and Ocho Rios. That blue sand and that blue water and that white sand. But you had escaped black people, the Maroons. They called it, that's what they called it. They called it the Maroons. You had women, this woman they call Queen Nanny, okay? The Windward Maroons. They launched a guerrilla war against the British, burned all their plantations, freed more black people, humiliated the Red Coat forces. They did it for a decade. And basically the British had to beg for peace. They end up granting these black people called the Maroon, get granted them land and autonomy. What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D. People wash their ass in the tub. Kamala Harris.
You were tuned in to Uncle D. D's Black Man Talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something and you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't Pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shootin', give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.